Army guy. We know better.
I call this meeting of the Central Florida Facilitators to orders. Thank you all for being here tonight. If you have one of these bad boys, also known as a cell phone, and you have any sort of separation anxiety from it, tonight is the night to go through that problem and overcome it. So you can take it, turn it off, and stick it in your pocket. We would greatly appreciate it. If you need to use the restrooms, they're located. You go down that hallway there and take a left and you'll find them on the end. At Toastmasters, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Through this mission, each Toastmaster gains a clear understanding of the club's purpose, and the organization as a whole benefits from a shared set of values and goals. Please help me welcome our Thought and Pledge leader for this evening, Mr. John Roberts. Wait, is it Sarah? Well, I didn't see a name there.
Impersonating Sarah.
Yeah. Correction, Miss Sarah Hunt.
The theme is therapy tonight. Spend a minute tonight, just 1 minute, where you have some silence. Silence is therapeutic and will provide a few ounces of clarity. Allow a moment for that healing for those stresses from your day. Let's do the pledge. The pledge of
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our president.
I was looking at that.
Thank you everybody for braving the rain and coming out tonight. We are called the Facilitators for 3 primary reasons. Number 1, we are sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators, open to all. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader. And Toastmasters is all about communication and leadership. To facilitate, it means to make things easy and possible, and we want to make things easy and possible for you tonight. It's an awesome news. We have a couple of guests this evening. The Short family, Taryn, I believe I pronounced that correctly.
That's close enough. It's Theron.
Theron.
That's a good try.
If you wouldn't mind standing up and sharing with us how you found us and why you're here.
Good evening. All that for me, I feel overwhelmed. Good evening. My name is Theron Short. I have started a performance management business, and I anticipate getting out and meeting clients. Part of my business is working with companies, working with individuals, working with nonprofits to show them how to increase productivity and motivation, to show them how to reduce interpersonal conflict, to work with them also to improve their communication skills and to build rapport. We recently started the company, and my wife was searching and she suggested that, listen, we go and check out Toastmasters, look into Toastmasters. And I am here to really better my communication skills. So I thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. And also, I work currently, I do have a day job. And I work for Goodwill Industries, but I work at the Orange County Work Release Center. I'm an employment specialist. I work with individuals that are in the correctional system, developing jobs at the Work Release Center, from the Work Release Center.
Thank you, Theron.
Thank you.
must say, you have a lovely voice, and it sounds like you have a leg up already. Well said. And we have Theron's wife, I believe it's his wife anyhow, Linda.
I am Linda Short, and my husband. I am here because a couple of years ago, my husband introduced me to someone who said that she had gone to Toastmasters. So 4 years ago, I said, I want to go. I forgot all about it. And I'm here now because I want to make sure that even though I can speak to you, I want to make sure my confidence is thriving as well. So here I am, and it's nice to meet all of you.
Thank you. That was really good too. A couple of words of business before we launch into our meeting tonight. I'm very excited about the topic. Therapy is always a good thing. I've been through a few bouts myself. We have a meetup. We have a meetup page. By the way, and I forgot to ask, I did mention it, but I forgot to, how did you find us, did you say? This specific club?
Well, actually, my wife did the research legwork, so to speak, and said that we're going.
We have a lot of awesome members and a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom in this room, so a lot of growth possible. But members, if you are not RSVPing to the meetup page, we know who you are. Please make sure, take a couple minutes creatively and get with Stephen tonight. It will help us so much if we can get 100% on that. Not if, when we get 100% on that. So if you aren't RSVPing to the meetup, it's easy, it's not a monkey on your back. It just makes things easier. Please make sure you get with Stephen tonight. Last bit of order, if you're in a leadership role, such as an evaluator, a general evaluator, you need your leadership manual filled out so you can become a competent leader or surpass that. Please make sure you get to somebody to evaluate, and we would be happy to do that for you. Are there any announcements from the floor before we launch into the bulk of the meeting? Tony, yes.
I was at the division contest on Sunday along with Linda and Stephen and Susan and Gail. It was awesome. Stephen did not win a trophy, but in my humble opinion, as an outstanding evaluator in this club, it was one of his best speeches ever. It had everything. It had the whole communication manual. And I'm very proud of Stephen that he got as far as he did. And I wish you luck the next contest to go even further, Stephen. It was great.
Any other announcements? Okay. Our resident Toastmaster tonight. She says she enjoys exploring and experiencing the therapeutic tools Toastmasters International provides. From butterflies and gastric issues, prior to giving a speech, to the extreme muscular strength developed in laughter and applauding. Help welcome veteran Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster, Miss Gail Hill-Smith.
Whoa, I don't know if that was a round of applause, but I'll take it. It was a little therapeutic. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Toastmaster Therapy Institute. We are ecstatic this evening to have 3 outstanding PhDs to provide you state-of-the-art Toastmaster therapies. As seen and heard on Dr. Phil just a few months ago, we have the PhDs, and we don't know how the PhDs are going to surface this evening. We don't know if they're going to be pretty peppy dudes or they're going to be primary heathen dabblers. But whatever, we will find out later as they surface. Tonight, I hope you will experience not only their expertise during the three components of tonight's session, our prepared and impromptu speeches, our table topics, and our evaluations. And before we get into those three components, I do have some housekeeping. As we found out, our thought and pledge was Toastmaster Sarah Hunt. We do have room for a third speaker. If anybody wants to employ therapeutic energy and come up with a pocket or a impromptu speech, you want to think about that for 20 seconds and let me know. We have an evaluator on hand.
We do, because there's a missing evaluator on the agenda.
That is right. We had an evaluator, third evaluator on hand. A slight change of timing for our timer. Our first speaker has requested 7 to 9 minutes rather than 5 to 7. Our icebreaker second speaker has asked for 5 to 7 minutes. And in that 20 seconds, do we have a willing, able, impromptu speaker? Willie Naranjo.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Now, Willie is also vote counter. I will ask maybe Tony to assist him with that as he prepares for the speech. So you will be our third speaker.
Yes,
Point
ma'am.
of order.
We'll
I don't have a job other than secretary.
Yes, you got it.
So would you like to be our third evaluator?
No, I'd rather be the vote counter.
Gail, James, Reed.
Okay, James Rigg, we will have you as our third evaluator, okay? So Willie, as you prepare, we'll have Susan do our vote counter. So if you, I'll let Susan and you coordinate the buckets, the vote counters, etc., so you can concentrate on that impromptu speech. Well, thank you everybody for being so flexible. We will see how therapeutic this is. If you also experience some of those gastric issues that I so frequently encounter prior to giving a speech and the butterflies that surface. Are there any other changes that I am unaware of as your Toastmaster this evening? If not, then let us get into the crux of our meeting. What if we have our various functionaries tell us what they will be doing and the therapy that they will be helping us with? We'll start with Ed Clark, our all counter.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Hopefully, as the night goes on, you won't hear too many of these. I'm the odd counter. In order to improve the quality of our speech, the odd counter's job is to make us aware of disruptive audible crutches, such as and no, and double clutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for the next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words, such as and, so, or like. I will sound a buzzer when I hear any of these infractions. Please note this is not to cause embarrassment, but to get immediate feedback on an area that needs improvement. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not given their icebreaker speech will not be fined or buzzed, but I will keep track of their infractions. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
And our grammarian this evening, DTM Tony Gittles.
Thank you, Madam Therapist. As the grammarian, I've chosen the word for the day, which is rehabilitate or rehabilitation. The The definition is to restore to a former capacity, rank, or right, to restore to good condition or health. Used in a sentence, it might sound like this: I hope to rehabilitate quickly following my knee surgery in January. Those of you that use the word of the day will not have to pay a fine, and we will applaud you by tapping on the table. Those of you who do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined, but donations are accepted. I will also, as your grammatical therapist this evening, I will be listening for colorful imagery. I will help you rehabilitate your vocabulary, grammar, and grammar usage, where I see improvements can be made. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And how about our Supervisor of Elections, Susan Morgan? What are you going to be doing this evening?
As your vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any other meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
With the office staff now in place, we will be presenting some clients needing therapy in just a few minutes. But I'd like to express to those who are visiting the office this evening that our office provides numerous tools and services. You notice on the agenda that there is the hot water bag, appropriate for anybody who needs it, whether it is for I, who experience gastric indigestion and issues. You can use it, you can borrow it. It is free to our clients. We also have in our doctor's bag of tools, we have the air or the water therapy, that if you have a faux pas, not only will you hear an ah, there is potential that our ah counter will blow this or fill it with water and squirt you. It's a holistic, natural way of therapy. In addition, evaluators, they too have tools accessible to them. If they have found that the individual whose project they are evaluating is using superfluous, unnecessary body gesturing or needs some help and assistance, we have the appropriate aids for use and for awareness. So again, feel free to use these tools. And I prefer the more holistic, natural approach. I like the therapies that are aromatic, the candles, the incenses that put you at ease, and breathing. Do you know how breathing is so relaxing and so meditating? And in addition, we have library books which you can check out. This one happens to be called the Raw Food Detox Diet. And why do I mention this to our clients? Because you have heard of hormone therapy. We also have a whole section focusing on the colon therapy. So if you wish to read more, these are all available. Finally, you've possibly heard of touch, tickle, torment. However you interpret touch, torment, or tickle, this tool can be used appropriately. If you can torment a Seminole, that is fine with me as your physician. If you want to tickle someone to make them relax or to smile, that is fine with me as well. So feel free, the tools are here. And last, and I hope not used, a speaker has always been afraid of the rotten tomatoes. We do have rotten tomatoes. We hope they're not used tonight in our therapy. Withdrawal. It is my privilege as the doctor of Toastmaster Therapy Institute to introduce to you a Toastmaster who is completing his last required speech for the Advanced Communication Gold level of Toastmaster status. He is working on the 5th project in the advanced manual, the humorous speech, titled Stained. Help me welcome Toastmaster Jonathan Dunn.
Y'all, it's not how hard you can hit, but how hard you can be hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Or as said Rocky Balboa in Rocky 23 1/3, which I happened to see in 2005. That statement became a personal mantra for me. And in March of 2014, I was on a quest to get a second date with a young lady. I had 17 first dates in 0 second date opportunities. The analytics guys loved me. They dubbed me the lovable loser. If you look it up on Wikipedia, you will see that that is indeed true. And you will see a picture of yours truly on that website. I thought to myself of that quote as April approached, April 2014. Can I keep moving forward? Am I gonna win this quest? I don't know, but I knew I was either gonna beat it or I was gonna break my own record and create a new title. As fate would have it, through a close friend, I met an account executive with the Orlando Sentinel. She was 25 years old and she was beautiful. Pale skin, black hair. She had rare green eyes. I thought, what the heck? I've got nothing to lose. I faced rejection and defeated it, so I asked her out on a date. And to my astonishment, she accepted. I thought, statistically speaking, though, my odds weren't too good. I thought I would probably hit 18. We agreed we would meet at Fleming's Steakhouse for happy hour. Have a couple drinks, maybe some food, get to know one another. And we did. We sat down, and we hit it off. Have you ever worried about awkward silence in a date? This was just the most beautiful, free-flowing conversation you could ever imagine. Despite our minor age difference, we had an amazing amount of things in common. We laughed, we giggled, and then our knees brushed up against one another. And I thought, I wonder if that was accidental. But then it happened again, and then again. And I said, what the heck? As soon as I establish eye contact with her, I'm going to go in for a kiss. Just a small one. And I did. She said, John, I'm having such a great time this evening. How about we extend this date a few hours? I don't want it to end. And I said, sure. I've never been to the SAT Comedy Club. I've heard it's really fun. Would you like to go? And she said, that sounds like a blast. So we went to the SAT Comedy Lab. And as fate would have it, yet again, they picked me as a judge. And inspired by one too many adult beverages, and I won't go into details, I actually stole the show. It's part of SAC Comedy Lab lore now. I went back to my chair, and she was there. She just slapped her arm right around me. I put my hand on her knee. This was the date I had been waiting for eons. I swear, when I closed my eyes, I saw doves flying. I said, this is either going to be my next wife or my ex-wife number 4. I went back to my chair, and she said, I don't want this date to end. There's this really awesome jazz club right next to my apartment. Do you like jazz? I go, I love jazz. I love live music. So we went back to her apartment, and Alan at 7 to 9 too, by the way. And we walked over to the jazz club. The drinks continued flowing. We shut the club down. And she said, I know you're a little buzzed, John. I don't want you to drive. I really enjoyed this date, and I would like to have another. Boom! I finally overcome my obstacle. She goes, would you like to come up to my apartment and watch a movie? I said, sure. She goes, and if you fall asleep over here, it'll be quite all right. I have a couch. PG. We went up her elevator to her apartment, and she showed me to her couch. And I sat down, and she said, I'm going to go slip into something a little more comfortable. And I said, great. I sat back, my hands were behind my head, and I was the king of the freaking world. And she went to her bathroom, and it was taking a while, and it was getting kind of awkward. And her cat came out, and I'm not a big cat person, and it wouldn't leave me alone. And I was like, gosh, this is starting to unravel bad. And I thought I heard a loud trumpet sound. Like, what? And I go, hey, Megan, are you okay in there? I can hear the jazz band sitting out here in your family room. How cool is that? And she gave me a really awkward response, and I was puzzled at the time, and I hear, what? Again, I'm not a good imitator of a trumpet sound, but that's what it sounded like. And I said, hey, take your time in there. I'm going to go help myself to a glass of water. I don't want to be hungover in the morning. She goes, it's right in the fridge, and the cups are right next to the fridge. So I stepped over to the fridge, and out of the corner of my eye, speaking of gastric distress, there was a 5-pound bag of Haribo sugar-free gummy bears that are sweetened with maltitol, which would have been okay, except 3 pounds of the gummy bears were missing. And I saw the UPS box right next to it, and they had just been received the day before. For those of you who aren't familiar with Haribo sugar-free gummy bears, raise your hand. Now, normally I memorize my speeches, but this is pretty intense. This is an Amazon user review from Arco 313 on their experience with Haribo sugar-free gummy bears. First of all, for taste, I would rate these a 5. They're so good. They're soft, they're true to taste. The fruit flavors, just like the sugar variety. I was a happy camper. But, or should I say but, not long after eating about 20 of these, all hell broke loose. I had a gastrointestinal experience like nothing I have ever imagined. Cramps, sweating, bloating beyond my worst nightmare. Oh no. I've had food poisoning from some bad shellfish, and that was almost like a skip in the park compared to what was going on inside me. This is hard. Then came the flatulence. Heavens to Murgatroyd. The sounds like trumpets. Calling the demons back to hell.
That's your my attention.
Go on. The stench was like 1,000 rotting corpses had vomited. in one room for fear of succumbing to my own odors. I found things in the toilet I had at my wedding 9 years earlier. After review from Marco, not my own words. I sat down and I was drinking the water very nervously, and I realized exactly what was going on in the next room. And I suddenly wanted to get the hell out of there. I wanted to go 0-18 on my own accord. And right as I thought that, she came out in this wave of noxious Lysol that was so thick it almost suffocated me, hit me. And it created this reflex in my body, like in pressure on my bladder combined with the water, and I suddenly had to pee. And I was going to try to hold it and come up with a polite way to escape, except I have a client who's a urologist, and she said, as a man, you never, ever hold your urine in. So I go, I got to use the bathroom. And I just knew at that point I was going to run out of there like a world-class sprinter. And I stuck my shirt over my nose when she wasn't looking, and I went in. I have horrible OCD with cleaning. I opened the toilet seat up, and it was stained. Fellow Toastmasters, most distinguished guests, there would be no second date yet again. Madam Toastmaster.
Well, thank you, Toastmaster Jonathan Dunn, for that enlightening, therapeutic verbal expression. If our timer, after being coached, can give us a minute on the clock, or better yet, I will watch. If everybody will take and write comments on Jonathan's delivery, what he might have done exceptional, how he might improve, to pass on to him in a way.
I want to just go like that, okay? Because I started like 7 minutes off. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, that's not. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Stop it.
10 seconds. And time. Someone earlier mentioned that they're really looking forward to tonight's Toastmaster meeting. They're really looking forward to hearing about Toastmaster Therapy Week. Well, with those encouraging words, I have decided to contact our Library of Congress and see if we can get this exact theme, Toastmaster Therapy Week, proclaimed as a national holiday week. Can you imagine what we would experience having this as a national celebrated week? The ranting and the raving and the reveling would be stupendous. I just know it would. Tonight also, we have a speaker who came forth to agree to speak at 3 o'clock last night. I have not gotten into why he saw my email at 3 o'clock this morning, but I would like to introduce our next speaker. Who do you call at the last minute? When you would find a brilliant, provocative, and power speaker? Well, I was told Tim Rickey was available. And we don't even have to feed him this time, because he usually only shows up in these meetings when we have food. Tim is a veteran in many, many ways. He's a former Army Ranger, Entrepreneur of the Year, Florida Business Person of the Year, and a 16-year veteran of Toastmasters. Boy, you've been in longer than me then.
Yep.
Huh. He is a business and speakers coach and is a published author of 10 Amazon books. This evening, he will share one story from his newest book, which began as therapy. He is speaking from the basic manual. The first project is Icebreaker, because he's actually working on his second DTM. Help me welcome DTM Tim Rickey.
I'm going to begin with 2 paragraphs from my new book, Journeys of the Entrepreneur. The clip-clop sounds of horse hooves echoed through Clifton Avenue during early hours of the crisp May morning. The stage was set as the sun rose slowly over the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Tony, the aging Mediterranean immigrant, was arranging fresh fruits and vegetables on his barn-red, horse-drawn, ready for commerce for the day. For the remainder of the day, his voice would echo through the corridors of the city. Bananas are bananas, 10 cents a piece, a special price, 3 for a quart. Great expectations were blooming as the city of Chicago awoke that morning. And I, as a 4-year-old, was living in a 3rd floor apartment 1 block from Wrigley Field. And I traversed the 3 levels downstairs, went underneath the staircase, and pulled out my radio red wagon, put my knee inside, and pushed myself down the street, down the corner, and looked off to the east, looking at the huge building that is Wrigley's Field. And I slowly brought my eyes up, looking for the flag, looking into the bright sun, and there it was. The flag was waving that day, because if the flag is waving, that meant the Cubs were home and there was a game that day. I was too young to read, so I had to go by the signs, and it worked. And then I got back in and I traversed myself back home and asked my mom if I could go to the Wrigley Field that day. And we'd shimmy underneath the gate, because there was a little space big enough for a 4-year-old to get in, along with my 2 siblings. And we played in that ballpark until the game, just before the game started. In the afternoon, we'd get home, and about the time the game started, it was nap time. Now, it was a little difficult taking a nap initially, because what you would hear is, and the next batter up for the Brooklyn Dodgers is hitting, and you'd hear it through the whole neighborhood. But we did take our naps, and about the time our naps ended, the game ended. And I would traverse the stairs again and go down to the last level, sit on the bottom step, and watch the people as they come down the street and get into their cars and drive off. But in this day, I got a little bored. The game must have gone over, and I sat on the running board. Anybody know what a running board is? Of a 45 Ford mustard-colored convertible. And as I sat there, a couple approached. He had on a jacket and a bow tie and a straw hat, along with his girlfriend in tow. As he approached, I stepped back up, went away from the car, and he smiled at me and he said, "Thank you, young man, for watching my car while I went to the ball game." And he put a coin in my hand and pulled my fingers around it, assuring me that it was my own. Well, I looked at it and said, "Wow, monies. Thanks, mister." And I ran up the 3 flights of stairs, ran in and showed it to my mother. "Mom, look, Mom, I got monies." She said, "Well," and for the first time I heard a word that would be with me the rest of my life. She said, "Well, I guess we have an entrepreneur in the family." Now, for decades, I wouldn't know what that even meant, and yet I was doing it. And even longer before I could spell it properly. It took a while. And each day I thought, I'll go down, I'll do it again. So I go to the corner, start game playing, come back down, take my nap, get down there, and try it again and again. But I wasn't getting any money. So I thought maybe I ought to try it a little different. So when they pull up to the curb at the beginning of the game, I would ask them for money for watching their car. And they said, most of the time, "You're still here when I get back." So I'd look at their faces, see if I could remember them, and then I'd sit on that last step as the game ended and watched as they came down. And I watched my little environmental crowd of cars in Detroit. And it increased a little bit, but not as much as I would like. I wanted more of those little monies to put in the jar. So I began to change my terminology as to what I said to people to get them to give me coin. And it kept getting better and better. What I didn't know is I was learning what an entrepreneur must learn to build a business. And that was scripting a message to the public and selling. Now you say to yourself, how does a 4-year-old possibly know how to do something like that? Well, guess what? You do know at a 4-year-old. All of you do. Because how many times can you remember in your life when you weren't getting something when you were little and you demanded and you kept at it and you kept at it and you kept at it, right? We've all done that. So it is part of our way of life, our DNA, whatever you want to call it, that makes us become a salesperson indirectly one way or the other. The difference is I carried it forward. I ended up having many businesses through the years. I shined shoes as a kid. I sold magazines door to door, subscriptions. I sold seed catalogs for a bow and arrow set through the back of a comic book. All of these things, and everybody who hasn't collected bottles for a few pennies as a kid, right? All of those things, and eventually I built a business starting with $13.68 and became the largest residential maid service in the southeastern United States, doing millions of dollars. From those lessons came the book, The Journeys of the Entrepreneur. And it's the entire collection, and it was started as therapy. Because at the time, 3 years ago when I began, I was having some really difficult times. When you've been somewhere and you can't get back, it's rough, but slowly but surely it begins to turn around. So the question is, what is your dream? What do you want? What kind of therapy are you willing to go through to get that dream? When you get through it, you realize you've done it, you're going to look back and say, you know, if I knew it was going to be this hard, I never would have tried, because it does get that difficult. But it's necessary to build something that can become a very successful dream or idea and concept. So don't be afraid of the therapy. Go get your dream. And I'm Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tim Rickey. And if our timer, Alan, if you can give us another minute on the clock, again, feel free to write some comments for Tim that will be collected by Susan in just a moment. Great, thank you so much. Well, we have one more speaker.
Oh, I forgot that.
You were anxious. Do your job. Thank you, Susan. In just a moment, we are going to experience, I think, a real testimony to Toastmaster therapy. Not only is this individual our newest member in this club, but he took the challenge of presenting an impromptu speech. If I am correct, this will be his third speech in the basic, his second speech in the basic manual. It is titled, If It Pleases the Court. Willie Naranjo experienced a public speaking event that is truly one of a kind. For 2 days, Willie served as a juror on a battery case and saw firsthand how attorneys go to battle in the name of justice. Today, Willie will share with us how attorneys use speech and body language when one's freedom is on the line. By the way, Toastmasters, a member of our very own club helped put that bad guy away. Help give it up with a hearty round of applause for our newest Toastmaster speaker this evening, Willie Naranjo.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
You're welcome.
It was an experience. I got the juror notice in the mail. I have to report. I'm busy. I don't want to. No. And then I saw that in the corner. And I said, my God, this is a sign. This is my rehab as a Toastmaster. It's time. And so what happened, ladies and gentlemen, is on April the 27th, I woke up and I said, today is going to be an experience. The courthouse is a battlefield. As I walked around it, I got nervous. My God, this is freedom on the line. These attorneys are ready to battle. And I had my pen and paper, and I was ready to take a lot of notes. The face-off. The state attorney came in, and off the bat, I said, okay, this lady's a veteran. I'm ready to be schooled right now. Persons of the jury, that very soft voice, just like a mother, it made me feel nice and calm. The eye glances, nice and soft, going to each and every one of the jurors. Wow, it's like if my grandma's talking to me. I feel nice. I feel safe. I'm on your side, lady. And then we are here because of him, because of the rage, because of the kicks, because of the punches. And I said, wow, this is theater for you now. So I see how the state is doing it. It's soft. It's nice, and then this is what happened. Oh, okay. Roger that. I got that. And next comes the private attorney. This guy's a sharpshooter. Man, I learned from him a lot. How's everybody doing? Okay, I said that. We are here for justice. Okay, I said that too. I said, oh, I see what you're doing, Mr. Attorney. This is a checkoff list for you. Okay, so please continue. I am here because I want justice. And I said, I remember that little movement. That's what the president uses. I said, okay. I see what you're doing now, my friend. I am here because it's your turn to serve justice. He kept on constantly doing this thing. And it made me feel important. Okay. And again, a check mark. And then he did something that truly grabbed my attention. Open palms. Open palms. It's not he over there is not guilty. It's more of he, of him, justice, of peace. There is no weapon in this man here. And I said, wow, that is completely different than just going, it's you. It's you. Okay. So that's round one. That's a checkbook. And next up is the body movements. Wow. These guys were battling. I saw the state attorney go like this. So tell me, whose fault is this? I said, probably it's the shrugs. I haven't seen that in a while. It's a question. So I'm like, man, I'm being asked a question. Yes, you are. Okay, I see now. Podium authority. Wow. This was her headquarters right here. And she went about 2 to 3 feet away from it. Here, right there, and especially here. And I said, wow, so it's just left and right. And then what happens after that? Comes the reactions. The state boss. Man, that is when she lost ground. I saw her. I said, no. I saw that with my own eyes. I was like, the follow through is not there. It's strong. And then even if it is a loss, that's me take it like a champ. I said, okay, it has to go all the way. The good, the bad, the ugly. And so my fellow Toastmasters, I have learned a tremendous amount. But it is an honor to serve my country in the capacity as a juror, and to know that a Toastmaster put a bad guy away. Thank you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Willie. Once again, if our timer, Ellen, will give us a minute on the clock to write comments for Willie, that will be collected by Susan in a moment. In the last final seconds I'd like to thank Tony Gittles for stepping up to do some quick coaching for our timer. I guess, Alan, this was your first time, maybe your second time as our timer?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. As a Toastmaster, if I had realized that, I would have given you some coaching either on the phone or been here early to have done that. So Tony, thank you for stepping up and doing that. If we could have a timer's report to see who of our speakers will qualify for a vote.
First speaker, John Dunn. His time was for 7 to 9 minutes. His actual time was 7:29, so he did qualify. Our second speaker, Tim. His time was 5 to 7 minutes, and his actual time was 6:41, so he qualified as well. Our third speaker, Willie, was for 5 to 7 minutes. His actual time was 7:43, so he unfortunately did not qualify.
All right, thank you. There is a perforated heart on that ballot in front of you. You can cast your vote for either Jonathan Dunn, Tim Rickey, on how they delivered and presented and met their objectives this evening. As you do that, and as Susan comes around to collect your ballot, the next portion of our meeting is one that I know conjures anxiety. And when you leave a Toastmaster meeting after participating in our table topics, if you are like me, you have no idea what you've said.
Yes.
Because you have no memory. 15 plus years ago, when I had my first table topic given to me, I had no recall, no clue. I just remember that I was trying to talk for 1 to 2 minutes. I was trying to be less than gibberish and use the word of the day. Did I accomplish that? I don't know. I don't remember. So this evening, I know that you're going to remember exactly what you are going to be talking about, because this is going to be rehabilitative therapy for anybody who is asked to do a table topic. Linda Earls has prepared a fun slate of rehabilitative table topics that will follow the traditional format we experience here in Toastmasters by expanding upon the theme, facilitating a discussion around all things therapeutic. Please help me welcome our Doctor of Toastmaster Dabblers and Dudes, your fellow Toastmaster, Linda Earls.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters. And I'm going to change my persona slightly and be Dr. Sigmona Frog. PhD in impromptu rehabilitation. Thank you so much. And I'd like to imagine that I came in that orange convertible that Tim spoke of. And I won't be delving into your innermost secrets. We'll be having a lot of fun. Do you have any home remedies or special rituals to relieve stress? Robert, please.
I'm Robert.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I mixed your name.
Well, I had a table topic, and I thought, when I was in the military, I had one favorite therapy session. And what I would do is I would go out to my car, roll up all the windows, and scream as loud and as long as I could. using every profane word that I knew. I even made some up. It worked. I just got rid of my anger. That's what it was. And that was one of the best therapies and one of the best solutions for myself personally that I ever did.
And would our guests mind participating tonight?
Of course.
Okay, wonderful. What traumatic experience have you learned from? Mrs. Short, please.
In the last 4 months, I had been going to Tampa to manage our dinner theater. And when I drive to Ohio to see our children, my husband always says, slow down. Did you see that person? You're off the other side of the road. Will you please look where you're going? Will you stop drinking the coffee? Will you open your eyes? On and on and on. And I always say, I'm not doing any of that. But this particular night, I decided that I was going to be extra careful with the car. And on the way home from Tampa, I was getting ready to turn back into the intersection, going the opposite direction toward home and my husband. And bam! I was T-boned. And all those things my husband said to me, all those years we drove back and forth to Ohio, seemed to perforate in my mind. And I said to myself, it wasn't my fault. And even though it was traumatic to call my husband and tell him I wrecked the car, he was understanding, and it wasn't so much of a disaster until I come to corners, until it's time to turn corners, until I see someone dashing to the stop sign, or just waiting to not have another accident.
Did you have a teacher who caused you distress or, on the other hand, helped you? Susan, please. Did you have a teacher who caused you distress or, on the other hand, helped you?
Yes, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I had a 6th grade teacher that helped me a lot. When I was in 6th grade, I was still struggling to read. I read fine, but it was a chore. I didn't want to read. Then one day, our teacher read us a book, and I loved it. It was so nice. It was about a girl that was my age, and I could really identify it, and I just went into the character. It was wonderful, and I thought, wow, books are pretty cool after all. And then my teacher decided to say, there is a sequel, boys and girls, to this story. Do you know what a sequel is? So she explained what a sequel was. I went home that night and I said to my dad, please take me to the library. I gotta get this book. So off we went. I got the book and I've never been happy.
Is there someone in your past or present life that you have found you could talk to? Mr. Short, please.
Well, someone in my present life that I feel I can talk to, I better say my wife. But no, but no, I'm proud to say that after 38, almost 39 years of marriage and 6 children later, that I often find myself talking to her about problems that I do. I deal with really kind of rough population of people during the day, and oftentimes I find myself having to have to come home and talk to her about some of the things that have happened during the course of the day. Some bad things, but also I find myself talking to her about the good things that have have to do in the course of my day. So, in answer to your question, it would have to be present day, my wife.
If you were a dating or relationship counselor, what advice would you give? Sarah, please.
Many people go to counseling because of relationship problems. Ironically, my master's degree is in counseling. And I found most people would come to a counselor for relationships. And the advice counselors give is usually nothing. Counselors listen. And there's many ways to listen. The advice isn't how to be better in the relationship, how to pick a certain person to have a relationship with. There's usually distress and dysfunction and stories that escalate, and having a safe space to vent and talk can provide clarity. As a counselor, not now, rehabilitating any relationships I find will come best through saying nothing, giving no advice. I will say that hadn't always happened. I, very early on, had lots of advice and spoke more than I should, and probably damaged relationships. And therefore I am not a counselor anymore in a therapeutic sense. I was young, inexperienced, and I have learned a very, very valuable lesson not to give advice about other people's relationships. Thank you.
Do we have time for another couple times, Alan, or are we running close here?
We got 6 more minutes.
We're good?
Yeah, actually, yeah, we're good.
Okay,
7:52, and we got 6 more minutes. So.
Good. Is the idea of a desert island appealing to you? James, please.
I have a 6-year-old daughter, and in 10 years I've got a plan, and it involves an island. In my own insane little way, I've decided that I will somehow buy an island, I will put her on this island, and I won't have to worry about Facebook or MySpace or Twitter or any of the other nonsense. I figure if she wants to communicate, she can send smoke signals. If she wants to have something to eat, we'll have banana trees and mango trees, and we'll find other entertaining things to do to keep her out of the harms and evils of society. So in that regard, I think that islands are awesome and wonderful, and I have great future plans for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a teen counselor for bullies, what would you relate to an aggressive youth? Mark, please.
Can you repeat the question just one more time?
Sure. If you were a child psychologist, I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. You're a teen counselor for bullies. What would you relate to an aggressive youth?
Well, Madam Table Topics Master, I guess I kind of would take Sarah's take on this. I'm not really a good therapist. I've been to the school a few times, though, with my daughter. She's been subject to bullying at school. I'm not real impressed with what I saw. Basically, the guidance counselor's take was she was just going to get the bully and my daughter together and have them iron it out. I didn't like that approach at all. I think what I would do is I would probably approach the parents. A lot of times the parents today don't really know what's going on with their children, and a lot of times it catches them by surprise. I think, kind of moving along James' perception, I would get involved with the Instagram and the Twitter and the Facebook, and I would have a more closer relationship between the parents and the kids to teach them the dangers of bullying and how perceptive and how emotionally fragile young kids are. And if their perception, or if they get bullied a lot when they're young, it has a lasting effect and can affect them up into their adult life in an adverse way. So I guess that would be my take on that, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much. find most difficult to do? Move to a new neighborhood or start a new job? Miss Tony.
A new job! I hate new jobs. They're so hard, and all I can think of is I'm gonna fail. But then I realized that that isn't fair to the person that hired me, because they hired me because I impressed them in the interview. Therefore, if they believe in me, I can believe in me. And that's gotten me through 35 years of changing jobs. But I remember leaving the hospital. My first job was in a hospital as an audiologist, and I had that down blindfolded. I could do that really well. But I was getting bored, and I wanted some more opportunities, and I didn't want to be inside all day. I found a job in sales, being a representative for a hearing aid company, and that company also made speech products. The company was out of California. I was living in Houston at the time, and the territory of Texas and Oklahoma opened up. And I called my dad and I said, "Dad, what do you think?" And I told him about the job. He knew the people that were going to hire me because he was in the hearing aid business. And he said, "What? You're going to be a traveling salesman?" He said, "I did that. I knocked door to door." And I said, "No, not a door-to-door salesman. This is real professional stuff." And it was. And it turns out I did a good job. And it was at that time, though, that I realized in that job, I enjoyed giving my sales presentations. And it opened up my speaking career because I realized I had a talent that I didn't get to use when I was in the hospital. And my dad hired me for the next job, and I got to speak all over the country.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I will have to give up my advanced degree and go back to my old persona. I found I had to step it up a bit because I was getting more compliments than I normally do. So I'm going to have to go back to watching what not to wear, I think.
Timers report. Oh, you want to ask for the timers
Sure.
report?
Sure.
Okay, have the timers report, please.
Absolutely. We are now right on time. So with the first table topic, we had Robert, who talked about personal therapeutic remedies. He spoke for 45 seconds, so he did not qualify. After that, we had Mrs. Short. Linda Short. Okay, Linda Short. And she talked about her traumatic but learning experience. She spoke for 1 minute and 26 seconds, so she did qualify. After that, we had Susan, who talked about teacher distress. She spoke for 1 minute and 6 seconds, and she qualified. And then we had Theron Short.
Yes, that's correct.
He spoke about person to talk to. He spoke for 58 seconds. He did not qualify. And we had Sarah, who talked about relationship advice, or maybe not to give it. She spoke for 1 minute and 21 seconds. She did qualify. We had James, who spoke about islands. He spoke for a time of 54 seconds. He did not qualify. Next we had Mark, who spoke about his aggressive youth. He spoke for a time of 1 minute and 13 seconds. He qualified. And last but certainly not least, we had Tony, who spoke about is it harder to move or start a new job? And she spoke for 2 minutes, 12 seconds, and she did qualify.
Can we get a recap
Go ahead.
of who qualified? Just who qualified?
So we have Linda Short, we have Susan, we have Sarah, we have Mark, we have Tony.
Oh.
All right, very good, thank you.
Dr. Linda, awesome job. As our guests may have surmised, Linda and Taryn, that our table topics component of our meeting gives us a chance to think quickly on our feet, impromptuli, and as we witnessed, Willie expanded on that impromptu ability, took his short life as a Toastmaster and condensed all his table topic responses to give a presentation, a speech tonight. So great demonstration of utilizing the skills that you're learning with Toastmasters. Though I am not the table topic master, I told you earlier that this week I was going to approach the Library of Congress to allow Toastmasters to rant and rave and revel in their discussions, their talking, their hearing. And as Toastmasters know, the three main topics that are forbidden are around politics, sex, and religion. I am surprised that we did not break that rule, that guideline this evening, to rant and rave or revel around politics, religion, and sex. If our timer will turn off the lights, our next component of our meeting is the most educational aspect. It is our evaluations. And we have a general evaluator with us this evening, whom I have dubbed the Doctor of Prognostics and Evaluations. Happy prognostics, happy evaluations, we will find out. But in 2004, Stephen writes that he gave a speech of how Toastmasters helped him through his divorce. What he discovered is that talking about that difficulty proved to be the best and cheapest therapy he could get. To this day, Stephen will bring his most difficult moments to the stage here in Toastmasters because it is a safe environment. And he has been able to find support he needed. No, it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. Help me welcome our General Evaluator, Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan. Thank you.
We now get to hear the feedback that we desire to learn and grow. We begin first with the evaluations of the prepared speeches, where we have had evaluators preparing for their presentations here. We will be beginning with the evaluation of Jonathan Dunn's speech being given by our distinguished Toastmaster, John Roberts. Our evaluator tonight is a longtime Toastmaster who began in 1994 in St. Louis, Missouri, where he attained all of the required designations within 4 years to achieve his DTM in 1998. Receiving his Competent Toastmaster, back then CTM, nowadays we call it Competent Communicator, they renamed it, proved to be more valuable than his high school diploma. He is the proud father of a 4-year-old girl who is already bilingual, speaking fluent Spanish as well as English, for a person of her age anyway. She will take great care of him as he approaches the age of being a senior citizen. Since he is now in his 20th year as a continuous Toastmasters International member, I think we'll call him Senior Toastmaster now. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster John Roberts.
General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guest, and Jonathan Dunn. I read the objectives, Jonathan, and really, there's just three. Exaggerate, entertain, and then use body language and enhance the story. Well, this is what I call telling one on yourself. And I've just noticed I've never done that. I've done a lot of things that were humorous. I didn't think they were humorous. Other people thought they were humorous. So I guess that's the secret, is what other people think. This is one of the best speeches I've ever heard you give. Really, I was very enthralled and very taken into your story because it literally involved telling one on yourself. And with this young lady, I didn't know where you were going with it. I don't know if any of us knew where you were going with it. Particularly when you touched her knee and your legs crossed and touched. And what I liked about the story was your honest and frank exchange of ideas with this young lady and with the audience. You have a good laughter. Some of us couldn't laugh when we were young. Back in the days when I was coming up, children were supposed to be seen and not heard. So I had to follow the rules. But now I'm breaking the rules. The part about the gummy bears, I know what gummy bears are, but I didn't know they did that. Nor did we. I buy them for my little girl, and she just throws them in her mouth and goes right straight through. So, I don't know. You were very good with your body language, your eye contact, the exaggeration using your gestures. I have to put my glasses on so I can hear. You're a vocal variety. You did all that wonderfully. And the last statement is, what could the speaker have done to improve the presentation? I don't think you could have done anything. It was just wonderful. It was refreshing to hear. I thought of some of the stunts that I had done in my youth. We're very proud of them, but you know, just nothing ventured, nothing gained. And sometimes we just do what we do and live with it, and face the embarrassment, and that's about it. But I thought it was very good talk. Let's do it, General Baby.
How will you turn the light off, please? Before we scare our next evaluator. Our next evaluator thinks therapy is very important. He has been unknowingly providing free therapy to men who have been going through relationship and life struggles. It seems that after he tells them about his personal relationship issues and troubles, they realize their problems surprisingly don't seem that bad after all. If it's true that we all learn from our mistakes, our next evaluator must be one of the most learned men around. Evaluating the speech of Tim Rickey, please welcome Mark Lockridge.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Now that I know I'm not supposed to rant about politics, sex, or religion, I guess I have to rework my next three speeches. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Mr. Tim Rickey. Tonight's speech, Journey of the Entrepreneur, the Rehabilitation of Capitalism. I like that. You were speaking from the Competent Communicator Guide #1, the Icebreaker. The objectives are pretty straightforward, as this is your second time around, you've been through them already. To begin speaking before an audience, I must tell you, sitting back there, you looked very comfortable up here in front of the audience. Your speech had an opening, a body, and a conclusion. And what I liked about it was you started the speech from behind the podium, and as you transitioned from the introduction into the body, you moved into the front of the stage there and became more personally involved with the audience. I really liked that, and it helped me relate to your speech a lot better. The body of the speech was solid, and I liked the way that you relived your 4-year-old self. As a listener, we look for things that we can relate to from the speaker. And I can tell you that there was a lot of things in your speech that I can relate to from my youth. The way you went out there and motioned in the red wagon as you went to Wrigley's Field and looked for the waving flag to see if the Cubs were playing, that brought back memories of me. When I used to drive down the street and look for the freshly baked sign on the Krispy Kreme's window. And that would tell me that it was snack time. I like that. I thought you had excellent body movement and gestures. Again, the motioning of the way you were in the wagon, I actually saw you going down the road. The way you sat on the seat as you were waiting for the people to come out of the game. The handout for the money, everything like that just helped liven your speech more and helped me to relate to it. And I think that other people that listen to the speech have the same conclusion as I do. All in all, I think you told a great speech, but above and beyond that, you told a great story. And to me, a great speech involves a great story. And I could just sit back there and just lose myself in the 4-year-old Tim Rickey as he goes through his learning experiences and his young entrepreneurship, and I could actually see the things that you were seeing even though I wasn't there. And as a listener and as an evaluator, I really appreciate that, and overall, I thought you did a really good speech. The only other thing is, I can say that I can only relate to one event when I was 4 years old. And hopefully nobody else will learn about that. So, all in all, you did a great job. Mr. General Director.
And finally, since we had